Right, everyone, Neil Lennon is no longer the Celtic manager. That was the big news that came out on Tuesday night / Wednesday morning. First reported by the Scottish Sun on Tuesday night, confirmed by the club on Wednesday morning. This video isn't anything to do with Neil Lennon. Quite simply, I would like everyone just to move on from him, go our separate ways and look to the future. And that's exactly what we're going to do on today's video. Now, a couple of wee bits of housekeeping. The first bit is that we did do a kind of immediate-ish live reaction on the channel a way back this morning, which seems an eternity ago. John McGinley joined me. Check that out above. Also, in the same note, I did a video a way back in the dying embers of 2020 when I looked at 7 realistic candidates who could be the next Celtic manager. I think it's aged relatively well. I think all of those 7 are still potential future Celtic managers, but take a look at that. That's linked above as well. I'm going to change tack slightly for this video. It's going to be another 7 countdown. I know you love those ones. And it's going to be a look at 7 up-and-coming managers who Celtic could bring in to really raise the standards at the club. And I like to think that they're realistic as well. But I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't take this opportunity to urge any new first-time viewers, watchers of the channel that if you haven't yet subscribed to us, we really would appreciate you doing that. We're well above 10,500 now. Help us on our next step to 11,000. It'd be massively appreciated. Right, let's get going. Right, this is one that's been mentioned by a few people. Javi Alonso had a stellar playing career. He played for some of the biggest clubs in the world. You know all this: Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. He is currently manager of Real Sociedad's B team. They play in one of the regional leagues in Spain. I think it equates to the 3rd tier of Spanish football. They're currently 4th in that league. They're not a million miles away from top of the league Athletic Bilbao's B team. But he is seen as being, the next big thing or one of the next big things to come out of Spanish football. His teams play exactly like you would expect a Javi Alonso team to play. 4-2-3-1 mainly. They like to keep the ball, attacking, possession-based football. He was such a good player that it's almost assumed that he'll be a good manager. I know it doesn't always work out like that, but he certainly is a guy who could take the next step in management. Could Celtic give him that next step? Would he move to Scotland when he seems to be making good progress in the Basque Country? There's been chat about him possibly being Jurgen Klopp's successor at Liverpool. Obviously, the main job at Real Sociedad is one that he'll have interest in as well. And if they progress managers through the system like they do in Spain, then that could be what happens. But he is a manager, to me, that should be on Celtic's long list of up-and-coming managers. He doesn't have a great deal of experience as a manager, but as a player he did quite a lot. Okay, I promise this list isn't entirely made up of Spaniards, but we do have another one here. Carlos Corben, who is currently manager of Huddersfield Town. He's been there since the start of the season. I'll be honest and say that he's not exactly been a roaring success at Huddersfield. They are currently well in the bottom half of the table in the Championship. I don't know a great deal about Huddersfield. I don't actually know a great deal about this fella. What I do know is that he's young, he's highly rated by a lot of people, most notably Marcelo Bielsa, who appointed him at Leeds as both his assistant manager and the manager of Leeds under 23s team. So he had a lot of different roles at Leeds United. He left them in the summer to go to Huddersfield. Bielsa absolutely loves him. He says he is a real good talent and he actually values Corberan's opinions higher than his own, which is quite a big thing to say when you're Marcelo Bielsa. I do have lots of reservations about this guy. He's kind of making up the numbers a little bit in this video, but as I say, he's young, he is clearly talented to have gone through different roles, rising through the ranks at various clubs, and yeah, that's kind of it. Kind of wish I hadn't included him now. But this guy definitely is worthy of an inclusion. Barik Barak, who we actually came into contact with in Europe a few years ago. Can you have a think and work out what team he was managing? Time's up. It was Hapoel Beersheva, who we saw off by the slimmest of margins to get to the Champions League in Brendan Rodgers' first season. He joined Beersheva actually just a year prior to that. He led them to their first league title in 40 years and then backed it up the following 2 seasons. So he won 3 in a row for Hapoel Beersheva, dominated Israeli football for those few years. He also made progress in Europe. You may remember, prior to playing us in the Champions League qualifiers, they beat Olympiacos over 2 legs. After losing to us in the Champions League, they went into the Europa League. They came through a pretty tough group. Went unbeaten in 2 games against Southampton, and his headline results, beating Inter Milan both home and away from home in the Europa League, which for a team like Hapoel Beersheva is a pretty big achievement. I know it's not the Inter Milan we see nowadays, but it's still a mega achievement. Things dried up a little for him in Israel with Hapoel Beersheva. He left them just last year, moving to Maccabi Haifa, where he seems to have got his touch back, his Midas touch. They're top of the Israeli league at the moment. Beersheva, in contrast, are way down in 4th position. So he seems like a guy that whatever he touches turns to gold. He is just very young at 41 years old in terms of managers. And again, it's the kind of manager I would love to see Celtic look at. He's got the credentials of winning league trophies and performing above his means in Europe. And I think those are 2 of the criteria we should be looking for in our next manager. Right, this is a name that has been mooted in the last week or so. I think it mainly comes from the reports that Fergal Harkin could be the director of football that the club are looking to bring in, and he knows Enzo Moresa from his time at Manchester City. You may know Enzo Moresa from his playing career. He played for the likes of Juventus and Sevilla, did quite well for the latter. He's also been in coaching roles with Sevilla, Ascoli in his homeland of Italy, and also West Ham United as an assistant manager lately. His current role is at Manchester City, where he was appointed there in late 2020. He's their head coach of their elite development squad, the squad that we got Jeremy Frimpong from, the squad that Phil Foden came through. His Manchester City side are top of the Premier League 2 with 31 points from 15 games this season. My big reservation with Maresca, and to be honest with virtually all of the people on this list, could they handle the step up? It's a huge step up going from Manchester City's reserve team effectively with, barely any fans in normal times to going to 60,000 fans at Celtic Park. I don't know, thrown it out there, if the fact that he'd be coming into Celtic when would likely still be playing with reduced capacity at the very best could be good for someone like that. They can ease themselves into the job. I don't know if that's a fair train of thought, but the guy's clearly got decent credentials. Whether he is good enough and rated highly enough and risky enough for Celtic to want to go for him, time will tell. Right, this one is by far the most ambitious, and if there's one name in this list that I'm going to get abused in the comments for being completely unrealistic, then this will be it. Roberto Di Zerbi, who is the manager of Sassuolo in Italy. You probably know that. They're currently 8th in Serie A. He's really highly rated. He's young. Think of his Sassuolo team as a kind of Atalanta light. They aren't quite as good as Atalanta, but they try and play the game in the same way, possession-based attacking football. Chances are that he will be prized away from Sassuolo to go to one of the bigger teams in Italy that will probably lose their manager in the next few months, Napoli or someone like that, or failing that, maybe a team in Spain or even England will take a punt on him because he's clearly quite hot property. So by that logic, Celtic are probably likely to find themselves a wee bit down the pecking order with regards to the queue for De Zerbi, but as we said earlier on the live reaction video, you've got to set the bar high. We are Celtic, we're a big club. We can offer managers a chance to win trophies, to play in Europe, to test themselves in one of, if not the biggest derbies in Europe. It's a big opportunity for someone, and I really hope that the club don't sell themselves short with this next appointment. Right, anyone who follows me on Twitter at Hamish Carton, by the way, had to get that wee plug in, will know that I have nailed my colours to the mast, and Gerardo Soriano, I don't even know if that's how you say his name, I should probably find that out if I'm going to be putting him forward for the Celtic job, but he is the guy that I want as the next Celtic manager. A bit like De Zerbi, maybe it's slightly unrealistic. He's currently the manager of Young Boys in Switzerland, who are the dominant team in the Swiss league. He came to them from Luzern, who were his kind of local hometown team. He took them over when they were relegation fodder, took them to third place in the Swiss league. That earned him a shot at one of the biggest clubs in the country. And since then, he's gone on to win 2 league titles in a row, and they are going to win 3 in a row as well. They're 18 points clear of Basel at the top of the Swiss league. They've also made real inroads in Europe. They have had numerous big results. They're currently in the Europa League. They beat Jeremy Frimpong's Bayer Leverkusen by 4-3 last week. So that tie is very much in the balance. But he is a guy, like so many in this list, that has the credentials to make the step up to Celtic. It is a step up from Young Boys to Celtic. He speaks 5 languages, which is 4 more than me. I think it's English, Spanish, Italian, German and French. So you'd have no problem adapting to life in Scotland. He just ticks all the boxes for me. The big reservation and the problem I have with Soriano is that he's likely to be prized away by a Bundesliga side. The man he replaced at Young Boys, Adi Hutter, was also prized away to the Bundesliga. So you could see similar happening with Soriano. I just think he's the ideal candidate, the guy we should be looking to get in. He's young, he wants to learn, he's clearly ambitious, he has experience of winning trophies and dealing with pressure. Young Boys aren't as big a club as Celtic, but they've got a fanatical fan base. They've done really well in Europe in comparison to ourselves, and I just think it's the ideal kind of candidate we should be going for. And very much in the same bracket is Diego Martinez, who is one of, if not the hottest managerial prospect in Spain. Again, that may make you ponder why he would swap the Spanish lifestyle at Granada and a possible move to a bigger club to come to Scotland. But again, repeat everything I've said. I think we do have a lot to offer these managers if we look for these managers and sound them out in the right way. In terms of Martinez, he is currently the manager of Granada. He went to them a couple of seasons ago when they were in the second tier of Spanish football. He got them promoted in his first season, but the real magic came last season, the COVID hit season, when he took them to 7th place in La Liga. They were actually first, I think as late as September or October. They fell a bit, but then rose at the end of the season, booked a Europa League spot, and despite coming through, I think, 3 or 4 qualifiers to get into the group stage of the Europa League, they're still going strong in the competition. They beat Napoli 2-0 at home last week, so they're in with a fair chance of making it to the last 16. He clearly has a lot of managerial ability. The thing I like most about Granada, having watched them a fair bit over the last year, is they don't really have any standout players. It's mainly a cohesive, tight-knit squad that he's built there. They all fight for each other and they get every single bit of quality and results out of what they have at the club, which is, it's not limited, but it's not exactly a squad filled with star talent, let's just say. They're currently 9th in La Liga this season, so they're in no danger of relegation. He's built on that again. The chat is that he could be a future Sevilla manager. Monchi, their sporting director, has worked with him in the past with Sevilla's B team, so that could be a possible avenue for him in the future. But in the absence of that job opportunity, I really think Diego Martinez is the kind of manager that we should be going for. So I'm adding him to my list as well. I don't know if you can put forward 2 candidates, but certainly the final 2 I've mentioned in this video are the 2 I would go for.